Paula C. Metzler on Penfield Town Court. My name is Christopher Chichester. I've never committed a crime. How old are you, Paula C. Metzler? Can you function in Penfield Town Court at your age? And the answer is no. It's so obvious that the answer is no, which I've detailed previously on YouTube. What do you think I have in my hand here? You bald-headed, wig-wearing, disgusting criminal hack. That's a list of salaries at the district attorney's office. I'm demanding the name of the prosecutor that doesn't talk first before John P. Lomenzo Jr. and next before your bald head, Paula Metzler, because I'm delivered to jail, first at Monroe County Jail, next to Livingston County Jail, without a prosecutor talking. Isn't that right, District Attorney Sandra Dorley? Isn't that right, Sheriff Todd Baxter? How am I delivered to jail when the prosecutor doesn't talk? Sandra Dorley, $129,000 Perry Duckles. Tell me the names of these two disgusting, repulsive, nauseating employees at the district attorney's office who didn't talk first before 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr. and next before fossil Paula C. Metzler, who also doesn't know which century she lives in. Doesn't talk. And the facts and circumstances as to why I'm in there, you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal Paula Metzler, totally irrelevant to you. Prosecutor doesn't talk because I haven't committed a crime. You impose a bench trial upon me for the purpose of delivering me to jail. And what am I doing in Livingston County? You will have to explain this to the United States Department of Justice. Prosecutor didn't talk, and then I'm deposited into the jail in the county and I'm living. And then I'm not told how long I'm going to be there because the judge is holding you. That's what I was told by my public defender. And the judge is you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal. February 8th. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr., H.P. Jr., Paula Metzler. Freedom of Information Law. Freedom of Information Law again. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr., James C. Milley Jr., Paul C. Metzler. February 10th. Understand? February 8th. February 10th. Name, charge, and sentence. Attached. Freedom of Information Law. Name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court for John P. Lomenzo Jr., James C. Milley Jr., Paula Metzler. February 14th. Got it. It's attached. What do you not understand? The 8th, the 10th, the 14th. You have it. You also received the same document that I just read 3 times on December 16th, 2020. December 16th, 2020. 2 months ago. So I read that 3 times. December 16th, 2020. You received the same thing on December 17th, 2020. December 18th, 2020. December 26th, 2020. December 27th, 2020. December 28th, 2020. December 29th, 2020. December 30th, 2020. January 3rd, 2021. January 2nd, 2021. January 5th, 2021. January 6th, 2021. So holding in my hand what I just read, that's 12 times. This is 3 times. 15 times. 15 times since December 16th I've demanded a list of defendants in Penfield Town. 15 times you refused. That's because everybody's guilty. How is that explained to the United States Department of Justice? Bald-headed, wig-wearing, criminal corrupt Paula Metzler and James C. Milley Jr. has more hair than bald-headed, wig-wearing, criminal corrupt Paula Metzler. How is that explained? It can't be explained because you're a criminal and you do not know you're a criminal. Where's the jury in Penfield Town Court? This is your disgusting, repulsive, bankrupt existence in Penfield Town Court inside a library. Do you know you're inside a library? Everybody's guilty. Why isn't there a jury in Penfield Town Court? Because you're fanatics, that's why. You love sitting up there and declaring individuals guilty. And when I'm in there, there's no interest in you, in the facts and circumstances of why I'm in there. Paula Metzler, how was I charged with harassment second one? I'm not harassing anyone. Paula Metzler, how's it a crime to walk outside, stand here and say nobody owns that land and go back on my residence? And just like your nauseating predecessor, John P. Lomenzo Jr., John P. Lomenzo Jr. had no interest in these 2 tickets. Just like you had no interest in attempted assault, petty larceny, and trespassing. I'm not committing any of those crimes. Paula Metzler, on August 30th, you know what I'm going to say. I was walking in front of Wegmans after I went to Canandaigua National Bank, and that's why I'm holding this check, because I had $61.39 in my pocket. You were told to be in Penfield Town Court. I'm walking down Penfield Road to go to the bank. I see these psychopaths at the sheriff's office passing me. I walk back down Penfield Road, make a right on Sanders Farm Drive, make a left on Willow Pond Way. I walk in front of Wegmans. One of these animals from Sheriff Todd Baxter's Monroe County Sheriff's Office exit one of the 5 vehicles, ran at me, lowered his shoulder, knocked me down, and my head slammed against the concrete pavement. This is a violent attack. I had to go to the hospital for an MRI. I've showed this before. After visit summary, my physician's name, Roger, Regional Health, your imaging is normal because I got a hard fucking head. Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. How do you like this hair on my head, Paula Metzler? How do you like my glorious hair? Because every single hair on my head is more hair than you have. So, nobody talks. How you explain to the United States Department of Justice, these are a list of every employee at San Gregory's District Attorney's Office, total silence, and I'm demanding from her, as I've been demanding over and over and over for months, the name of the prosecutor who doesn't talk in Penfield Town Court. Here it is, a foil right here, and this is attached again. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for Paula C. Metzler in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor? San Gregory. This 5'2" 3-piece suit boy leaves his podium as I'm there in your Soviet Union show trial, walks up to where you are, gives you a little piece of paper. Listen to me, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, disgusting hack. I don't know what's on this little piece of paper, Paula Metzler. He gives you this little piece of paper. I don't know what's on it. I'm standing there in your Soviet Union show trial, and then you just pronounce me guilty, and I'm in Livingston County. How is this explained to the United States Department of Justice? You will have to explain it, and you can't explain. You will be deer in the headlights. You'll be Paula Metzler, deer in the headlights, which is your disposition. Paula Metzler, you typed this search warrant in Penfield Town Court. This is what I'll tell the United States Department of Justice. This is not a search warrant, bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal corrupt Paula Metzler. It doesn't have an identifying marker on it. Government documents, especially a search warrant to get into a residence, has to have a marker. This is it. You can see it. I'm not going to hold it up that close because you typed it. You typed this document that says search warrant because you typed it. That's not a search warrant. And when I send this to the United States Department of Justice, the employees that will look at it will immediately conclude that this has no legal force of law. This is a concoction. This is your concocted search warrant, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, disgusting hack. Do you understand me, Paula Metzler? You typed this document that is not a search warrant in Penfield Town Court. You handed it to Lee LaRoque, and that's how she gets in here with her blue gloves, and she went berserk. I have papers all around me right now. You can't see them on YouTube. And I put them in folders. And one of the things this psychopath did is took all the papers in the folders and threw them on the floor. And I have photographs of this. Because when I was eventually released from jail and I ran home in a dark past midnight, and I knocked on the door of my neighbor, and he's also my friend. I said, I just got home. I'm going to go in there the first time. And he came in here and he took pictures of it with me. And this is what you did to me. You allowed this Lee LaRoque to get in. The pictures my neighbor took when he was in there with me. Now, 2 hours after I ran home. I ran home past midnight. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I knocked on his door. I said, I haven't been in there yet. Let's go in there. He came in and he took pictures. He said he's never seen a house like this. They took my dress screens from the 101st I have in a spare bedroom, threw them on the floor. What are my dress screens doing on the floor, Lee LaRoque? He pulled out the drawers of my father's dresser he gave to me from when he was a child in Brooklyn. What are you doing pulling out the drawers to my father's dresser? Looking for a hammer, right? What'd you find? Nothing. And then you exited with my Chromebook, Lee LaRoque. District Attorney Sandra Dorley, the District Attorney of Hatred. Bald-headed Todd Baxter, who has the same amount of hair on his head as Paula Metzler. Your employee, Todd Baxter, $91,000 Lee LaRoque, was in here with a document that's not a search warrant that Paula Metzler typed in Penfield Town Court. And these are the blue gloves that Lee LaRoque was wearing. Isn't that right, Leah? How do you answer these questions for the Department of Justice? This is fanaticism and hatred. You won't even give me a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court. It's a public proceeding because everybody's guilty and you have no interest in the facts and circumstances. I have been in there. Paula Metzler and James C. Mullen Jr. and John P. Lomenzo Jr. when you have conducted your show trials. And I'm confident you didn't even know I was in there. I didn't see you look at me. I didn't see you, James C. Mullen Jr., look at me. I don't know if you know what I look like. I don't know if you watch me on YouTube. But if you watch me on YouTube, then it's possible to recognize me. And I'm watching you, Paula C. Metzler and James P. Mullen Jr., declare every single defendant guilty. How is that explained to the United States Department of Justice? And that's what John P. Lomenzo Jr. also did when I went in there. And when I was in there, I'm trying not to laugh at his buffoonery. The concocted charge for me walking outside one day and standing here and telling a guy on his track that nobody owns that land and walking back in my residence. That's not a crime. It's criminal contempt. So there's 7-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr. He looks down at a piece of paper and he says, Christopher Chichester, you're charged with trespass. I look at this stooge, this buffoon, this hack, this AARP fossil, and I interrupt him. I say, that's not it. I'm not trespassing anywhere. The concocted charge for me is criminal contempt second, and he has no idea what I'm talking about. Just like you, Paula Metzler. You have no idea what the facts and circumstances are for the defense in Penfield Town Court, and that's the way you want it. That's why you resort to guilty, guilty, guilty. Everybody's guilty. How is that explained to the United States Department of Justice? How is it explained, Paula Metzler, that you unleash these psychopaths on me? I'm never coming to Penfield Town Court. I want to be absolutely clear about that. If I'm in there, I will be screaming at you, Paula Metzler, in the most ferocious way. If it's you, James C. Mully Jr., I'll scream at you in the most ferocious way. And fuck you, Paula C. Metzler, and fuck you, James P. Mully Jr. I have never witnessed this level of corruption and fanaticism and hatred that you two embody. So they're pounding on my door and screaming my name. I'm not aware that I'm supposed to be in Penfield Town Court. That's because you're demanding that I be in there without a prosecutor to declare me guilty and deliver me to jail, and that is insane to go in there. They are pounding on my door in hatred, screaming my name. I have never seen anybody pound on the door at a residence that I've been, and I was in here with someone. I wasn't in here alone. And this individual told me that it was terrifying. That was the word that was used. It's not my language. That was the word that was used. They're pounding on my door. They're screaming my name. Your employees, Todd Baxter, did this. But someone in my life that's also in here. So when I'm on here, which is on the YouTube, there's also someone I know that's in here. You, Todd Baxter, are a criminal. You, Sandra Doyle, are a criminal. You, Paul C. Metzler, are a criminal. You, James C. Mully Jr., are a criminal. And the evidence of your criminality, your corruption is overwhelming. And you're looking at it. I'm the evidence. I'm the overwhelming evidence that you, Paul C. Metzler, are a criminal. You, James C. Mully Jr., are a criminal. You, Sandra Doyle, are a criminal. And you bald-headed fanatic Todd Baxter, are a criminal. So you won't even send me the latest payroll. Todd Baxter, is sexual harassment going on at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Sandra Doyle, is sexual harassment going on at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office? Todd Baxter, Sandra Doyle, do you understand how to define sexual harassment? Because I believe the answer to that is yes, and you're refusing to answer. When I contact the United States Department of Justice and the employees at the Office of Andrew Cuomo and every other bureaucracy that I can think of that has regulatory power over you and oversight over you, I'm going to tell these individuals to ask you if you use taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So they keep coming to you. Paula Metzler, did you ask Dane Raj and Layla Kumar Shah, these psychopaths, if they own the land alongside my residence? How does anybody own this land, Paula Metzler? You don't even know the facts and circumstances. The guys coming along this track, nobody owns that land. That's why. Because this is not a documentation that proves land ownership. So since no one owns this land, and someone from Broccolo Tree and Lawn Care, isn't that right, Albert and Laurie Broccolo? Your weed-whacking, grass-cutting loser is involved with Shannon Meyer, Todd Baxter, $67,000 criminal, a civilian, to get me to come out of my residence, Elliot Roth. You tell me you're going to be arrested because you know they put this camera on this building. Civilian Elliot Roth knows I'm going to be arrested. Steve Desmond's calling the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, a civilian, to my residence. Elliot Roth, a civilian business. Dane Rashad, civilians screaming at me, telling the sheriff's office I should be arrested when I haven't committed a crime. Civilians are being used by you, Todd Baxter, to get here and concoct the crime for me. How is this explained to the United States Department of Justice? Paula Metzler, did you ask Dane Raj and Layla Kumar Shah how anybody owns that land? And you, Paul C. Metzler, you can walk through this parking lot without being arrested. You can walk through this parking lot, take your wig off, look at it, put it back on your bald head, continue through the parking lot, down the sidewalk on Penfield Road, and go to Wegmans. Then when you're at Wegmans, you'll see one of Todd Baxter's fanatics alongside the building doing nothing. Nobody owns that land, Paula Metzler. Do you understand me? I asked you, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, disgusting hack, if you own a dog. I'm walking my dog the same way for 7 years and 4,000 times. This is who you with. This screaming from the shack, the Shaw Law Firm, 2041 Penfield Road. Who the hell would want to be their clients? I believe they have no clients. And I don't know what that is. They're screaming here. I'm down over here. Here's the screaming. I don't know what that is. Why don't they just come outside and talk to me? Here's my little guy. I adopted him from Lollipop Farm Society because I passed the background check. I was approved after the interview with my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley. 1 hour later, there you are, Todd Baxter. There's the bald head of Todd Baxter at my front door demanding my dog. One phone call. And there's this vicious confrontation at my door. I say, you have to kill me to take my little guy. 4,000 times I'm walking my dog. I told you this in Penfield Town Court, Paula Metzler. And you know what I get from you? Is your usual disposition, the 1,000-yard stare. You, Paula Metzler, have the 1,000-yard stare. I'm not exaggerating, because you are up there, and when facts are communicated with you, the 1,000-yard stare, that's exactly what you are. You are 1,000-yard, 70-year-old stare, Paula Metzler. How do the cops come to the house of an innocent citizen and demand his dog? This is the sick lunatic fringe. This is what you're with. This is Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah, a 50-year-old man living with a 70-plus-year-old mother. I go to the YMCA. I'm on the rowing machine. I see Layla Kumar Shah in the back. This 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr. rights and order protection for me to avoid this woman. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm on the rowing machine. I see her in the back of the YMCA. I ignore her. I'm rowing. Here she comes walking up to me, this psychopath. This is why she's a psychopath. I'm thinking, please walk right by me and leave me alone. Leave me alone and walk by me. And she comes up to me, 70-year-old Layla Kumar Shah. I'm on the rowing machine. I'm rowing, and I'm looking up at her, and I'm thinking, what is this freak show going to say to me? And she oddly points next to the barbell, next to the rowing machine, and I say to her loudly, what's my name? You know my name. Then she goes to a YMCA employee, because he has a shirt that says YMCA trainer, black shirt. She points at me, and she says to the YMCA trainer, he doesn't belong to the YMCA. And then the YMCA trainer, the employee, replies to Layla Kumar Shah, I don't know what you're talking about. This is the hatred that you're with. This is the sickness that you're with. This is the fanaticism you're with. And you should understand hatred, sickness, and fanaticism, Paula Metzler, because that's what you are. You're consumed by hatred. You have a sickness throughout your soul, and you're a fanatic. This woman is telling an employee at the YMCA, I don't belong to the YMCA. All I'm doing is sitting there and rowing. I'm going to tell all of this to the United States Department of Justice. This YouTube's going to go to the United States Department of Justice. How do you explain you're delivering me to jail without a prosecutor talking and you're imposing a bench trial on me? That's not a trial. You're just there to declare me guilty. Do I have civil and constitutional rights, Paula Metzler? The answer is yes. The answer from you is no, because you're a criminal, Paula Metzler. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime.